Hello and welcome to another Brawl video. Today we're checking out another mono-white lifegain deck, which has gotten some significant upgrades as of late, and today's commander is Haliya, Guided by Light, a 3-mana 3/3, saying whenever Haliya or another creature or even artifact enters a battlefield under our control, we gain a life, and then at the beginning of our end step, if we've gained 3 or more life this turn, we get to draw a card. So Haliya is both an enabler for gaining life as well as a payoff for doing so, and those are two categories that we'll see reflected once we take a look at the deck breakdown. Now I should mention Haliya also has the warp ability, but sadly you cannot warp your commander out of the command zone, so that's not an ability that's going to come up all that often. So then taking a look at our deck breakdown, I've split it up into a few different categories, starting with a small ramp section. Since most cards we're playing in this deck are 1, 2, and 3 drops, we don't need a ton of ramp necessarily, but some of these can still do other things, such as go wide, making extra tokens, or pump up the team, or even act as removal. Then we've got our life gain enablers. These are often cheap creatures, 1 and 2 drops, that will gain a life whenever another creature enters a battlefield, usually under our control. So these are great in conjunction with Haliya, making it easier to gain that 3 life threshold. And then all these enablers, including our commander, are perfect for setting up this next big category, and these are the life gain payoff cards. Often 2 drops that will pick up additional +1/+1 counters whenever we gain life, the Ajani's Pridemate type effect, but there's some other payoffs in here as well, maybe making some extra tokens, or maybe even drawing extra cards, so those are all great once we get our enablers in play. Then our next section is removal, some cheap efficient answers for the opponent's game plan, also some answers to non-creature permanents. And then we've got more Ranger of Eos type effects, which will help us produce more tokens or other creatures, so we can keep playing more stuff out and triggering Haliya and our other life gain enablers. So these are also pretty important to make sure we never run out of stuff to do with our mana. And then finally our miscellaneous section has some cheap protection creatures, including Mother of Runes recently added to the format, as well as a few more card draw engines, and even some taxation effects to try and slow the opponent down. So that's our deck in a nutshell. Then now for the deep dive, starting with our mana category. Chrome Mox can be definitely worth it, speeding things up by a whole turn. We've got Arcane Signet, can immediately use it to cast another 1-drop. And then Heraldic Banner pumps up our white creatures, can tap for mana right away. We've got a Ketra's Monument, discounting our white creatures by 1, and whenever we cast a creature we get to make a 1/1 token. So that combination, especially with our life gain enablers gaining life constantly, these warrior tokens can be incredibly helpful. Then there's a Wind Crystal, also discounting all our white spells by 1 mana, and whenever we gain life, we gain twice that much life instead. Can even activate it for 6 mana, giving the team flying and lifelink until end of turn, so pretty decent once we get it going. And then there's a white Aura Sight, exiling an opposing non-land permanent when it enters, and can immediately tap for a white mana as well, so also helps us ramp. Next up, we've got our life gain enablers. Guide of Souls is definitely one of the better ones, since it also gains energy. Even though it's nerfed and now requires 4 energy as opposed to 3, it can still help pump up one of our other creatures, giving it flying, so that's great, especially if we can also make some tokens alongside it. Then Case of the Uneaten Feast is a better version of Ajani's Welcome, since we can also solve the case, maybe sacrifice it to replay creatures out of the graveyard. Not playing Ajani's Welcome itself, definitely an option, but I just wanted to keep the creature count in the deck as high as possible. Then we've got some flying life-linking creatures, such as the Healer's Hawk, as well as the Rune Lurker Bat, also just good to keep getting in, gaining life, and setting up our other life gain payoffs. Then we have the Hinterland Sanctifier, as well as Lunarch Veteran, can maybe be disturbed out of the graveyard, and the new Aunt May / Zora Spider Fancier, which can all gain life when creatures enter under our control. And then the best version of these is Soul Warden, as it also triggers off opposing creatures entering the battlefield, so this one's great. And then Leonin Vanguard can also trigger if we control 3 or more creatures, gaining a life each turn, can maybe attack as a 2/2. And then moving up the curve at 2 mana, there's the Conjure, can also maybe activate it to flicker some stuff, which will in turn often gain more life. We've got the Life Creed Duo, a 1/2 flyer with that ability. Daxos can gain life whenever creatures enter or die, and also increases its toughness with our Devotion to White. Linden can gain life when our white creatures attack, 1 for each. And then Steel Seraph can also give our creatures various abilities, including flying or lifelink, so that can also help enable some of our payoffs. And those payoffs include some effects that maybe improve the amount of life we gain, such as Cleric class eventually can level it up to give us additional +1 counters whenever we gain life, which is an ability we also see on Heliod Suncrowned, which can also for 2 mana give one of our creatures a lifelink until end of turn, and with enough devotion it turns into a 5/5 indestructible creature, so that's also great, and also a card you can consider as your commander if you want to switch things up. Then a Serra Ascendant is awesome in Brawl since we start out with 25 life, so now we just need to gain 5 total in order to make a 6/6 flying lifelinker for just 1 mana, so this one's great if you can get it down early. Speaker of the Heavens requires us to have 32 or more life in Brawl, so we can tap it to make a 4/4 Angel token each turn. We've got Excalibur, which will slowly pick up additional charge counters, and then at some point we can equip it, giving +1/+1 for each charge counter on it. And then we've got our classic Ajani's Pridemates, and some of the better versions now, with Essence Channeler, can maybe gain flying if we lost life, or can move its counters around when it dies. We've got Hallowed Priest, kind of a arena version that's just a 1/1 Pridemate, so this one's slightly worse. But Voice of the Blessed is maybe the best one of these, as it can also gain additional abilities once we reach a certain number of +1 counters. And then Ocelot Pride, despite being nerfed and costing 2 mana in this format, is still awesome, as it can generate additional cat tokens end of turn, can quickly reach the City's Blessing, doubling the number of tokens we generate, and all those tokens can also gain us more life with our other enablers. Then at 3 mana, there's Aerith, as a life-linking Pridemate essentially, can also move its counters onto other legends when it dies. We've got the Cat Collector making a 1/1 cat token if we gained life for the first time each turn. Got the Resplendent Angel, if we gained 5 or more life, gets to make a 4/4 Angel token with Flying and Vigilance, can also activate it, giving it +2/+2 and a lifelink. And then Rock's Faithmender, similar to the Wind Crystal, will double the amount of life we gain on a 1/5 lifelink. It's also great at setting up cards like Resplendent Angel, Serra Ascendant, or Speaker of the Heavens, where we need to reach a certain threshold. And then there's Ajani, Strength of the Pride, which is both a way to make a Pridemate token with a -2, as well as gain life with a +1, so it can also be an enabler. And then the Zero ability can give us a one-sided board wipe, which is not too difficult to set up in this deck, just need 40 or more life in Brawl to essentially exile all the opponent's creatures and artifacts. Then there's the Exemplar of Light, a flying Pridemate that can also draw us extra cards. Leyline of Hope is excellent if we have it in our opening hand, as we can put it in play right away, and then will gain us an extra life each time, similar to Cleric class, but then at 32 or more life in Brawl, it will also give the team +2/+2. We've got Angel of Destiny as an alternate win condition. If we've gained enough life and attacked with it, we can just win the game end of turn. And then Archangel of Thune, whenever we gain life, we get to put a +1 counter on each creature we control, so it's like a Pridemate for all creatures we control essentially. And then a Crested Sunmare can make a 5/5 horse token end of turn, giving those indestructible as well. Then moving on to our removal, there's a Lay Down Arms, which requires us to have lots of planes to enable it. Swords to Plowshares, another classic, can play at instant speed, and in a pinch we could also point these at our own creatures if we just need to gain some life to maybe enable some ability, but usually they will be pointed at the opponent's stuff. At 2 mana there's Fateful Absence, can also deal with opposing planeswalkers. Get Lost can also deal with opposing enchantments, giving some map tokens in return. Then Loran, an answer to artifacts and enchantments. Skyclave Apparition can deal with any non-land permanent with mana value 4 or less. Enchanter can be played as both a land or a 4-mana Loran, basically. And then Solitude can be evoked if we exile a white card from our hand to give us another Swords to Plowshares, or we can cast it for 5 mana and get a 3/2 lifelinker with that same effect. Then our token makers include Skrelv's Hive, just gotta pay 1 life to make a Might token each turn, can easily make up for it. Then there's a Voice of Victory, if it attacks makes 2 warrior tokens, also prevents the opponent from casting spells in our turn. There's the Cosmogrand Zenith, if we cast 2 spells each turn, can make 2 1/1 tokens or pump up the team, and that's usually not difficult to enable turn after turn if we're drawing cards with our commander. And then we've got the 2 Rangers. The Ranger Captain searches up 1 1-drop, can also sacrifice it to prevent the opponent from casting non-creature spells, and Ranger of Eos gets 2 1-drops, and there's a lot of powerful ones we can choose from. And then our miscellaneous section has a few taxation effects, with Curse of Silence, often naming the opponent's commander, making it 2 more expensive. And then there's the Esper Sentinel, which will punish the opponent for casting non-creature spells. Then we've got a few ways to protect our own stuff with the Giver of Runes, as well as the new Mother of Runes can also target itself. And then we have Selfless Savior, can be sacrificed to give Indestructible until end of turn. Not playing Skrelv today, but that's another option. And then a few more card draw effects with Enduring Innocence. Have a lot of creatures that are small starting out. Even if they pick up additional counters, we'll still draw cards with Innocence. And then it's also Lifelinker that can maybe enable some other life gain synergies. And then we've got the One Ring, since we have a lot of life to spare, so we don't mind drawing a bunch of cards with it. And then our mana base has a few lands that can gain life for us, Radiant Fountain when it enters, similar to Adventures Inn. And then a few lands that can generate more than 1 mana, with Ancient Tomb at the cost of 2 life, can easily afford it. And Nykthos if we have a lot of white devotion. Cavern can make our humans uncounterable usually. And then we've got some more utility lands here with Eiganjo, can act as removal. And Castle Ardenvale can make a 1/1 token at the cost of 4 mana. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Alright, we're on the draw, facing Kefka. Grixis mid-range, maybe with a discard theme. Our hand's okay. Could use a good 2 mana play. But the Sentinel somewhat likely to draw us a card. Can always play a tapped Enchanter, keep up swords next turn. Although may need to keep this as an answer to Kefka. Alright, opponent runs out a Chrome Mox. So they can cast a 3-drop. Yeah, that's pretty good. Stock Up's gone. Eventually Loran can blow up the Mox. But probably not before they run out Kefka. Alright, Signet, more ramp, so next turn they can already play their commander. And a Kroxa will make me discard. At this point, I don't think Resplendent Angel's gonna get there. I'll keep the Witch Enchanter in hand. Dimir Signet, so they're not going for Kefka just yet. Which does sort of throw off my curve, but it's okay. They let us draw, so they're planning to cast a 4-drop. Call against commands, returning Kroxa as well. Fair enough. So they could have just paid the 1 in hindsight. Now a Loran blow up Signet makes sense. Slow them down a bit. Try and play the Ocelot once we already have our commander in play to immediately trigger it. Kroxa is back. At this point, could get rid of the Enchanter or just a Lance and take the damage. Casting the Enchanter to blow up another Chrome Mox or Signet's not bad. Although looks like they can escape Kroxa now. Although never mind, they don't have enough red mana for that. Because Chrome Mox only makes blue, Signet's blue-black. So our opponent probably miscalculated there. Alright, now with Guide of Souls, the Ocelot looks a bit better. Can play Guide, Ocelot, keep up swords. That's pretty good. And then I'll probably let go of the Enchanter here. Keep Cat Collector to synergize with our other cats. Is it Kefka or is it Kroxa? It's gonna be Kefka. So before they draw, we'll exile it. Even though keeping swords for Kroxa was also reasonable, because they can actually replay Kefka right away. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, unless we enchant her, which may be worth it. Yeah, I guess we're already going wide. Now a leyline's tempting, although Enchanter slows them down. Then Kroxa likely snipes the leyline. If I play leyline, I'm gaining a life with Ocelots, but we need 32 or more, so then it wouldn't really count unless we play our commander next turn, then we might get there. Close call. Kinda just like destroying stuff here. Although I could see the benefit of pumping my team when we're going wide. And then I can just play this as a land, so we don't have anything left to discard. City's Blessing has been achieved. Get double the tokens, which I guess now does get us to the threshold, perhaps. Close to it. Yeah, with Haliya we should get there. And then we can give stuff flying, probably the Ocelot itself. Opponent's going to pass with a whole bunch of mana up. That's concerning. But yeah, I'm still going to make this play. Not enough to Cyclonic Rifts. Can attack. Could save my energy in case I have removal for the Ocelots. Opponent's at 16. This is, I guess, lethal if they don't have anything. Alright, did I miscount? 5, 6, 7. I guess I did have enough for Cyclonic Rift after all. Okay, so pick everything up. And then go replay the Ocelot, I guess. We've gained life this turn. Yeah, somehow thought they were on 6 mana. Otherwise the play might have been attack first, see what happens. Although we needed to play this to pump the team with Leyline. Kefka, discard, maybe Loran at this point. Opponent discarding a Volgavoth. So they only got to draw 1 card. Leyline would pump the team, and then Guide of Souls would give stuff flying. So that seems like a good combo. Although maybe we just get in with Ocelots, and then I can go Case, Guide, Haliya. And save the Leyline for when we have more creatures in play. Now I can actually warp it since it's in our hand, but I think I would still rather just cast it. So we can discard the Hive if they make us discard again. Ocelot flies. Opponent's at 12. We trigger a bunch of cards, gain even more life. Case is solved. So this can also get our stuff back from the graveyard, potentially. If they spend their whole turn transforming Kefka, they're probably dead on the way back once we slam down the Leyline. So they need a different plan. Step 1, escape Kroxa. At this point, could ditch the Signet. Kefka attacks. Discard Hive. Opponent draws 2. Don't think we need to block. We're at 43, a long way to go. They found an answer to the Ocelot, fair enough. Anything else? A Fable. So what happens if I Leyline? Nykthos could also give us a bit of a mana boost. It's close to lethal. What if I give Haliya flying, then opponent's essentially at 7, 2 blocks. Yeah, this should be lethal then. Alright, sweet. Figured it out. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw, facing Heliod, so it's a battle of the lifegain decks. My hand's not bad. Excalibur into Priest, turn 3, have a few options. But yeah, we might need an especially good hand to win this game. I think I still try it. So our opponent's going to be able to grow their creatures pretty easily, but maybe they don't draw as many cards as we do. Do they have a scary 1-drop? Looks like they have multiple options, goes for a Veteran. This is going to be 3 mana to equip, so pretty far from doing anything. But maybe equipped onto a lifelinker, it can do some work. Dawn of Hope is pretty slow, can blow it up with Loran, so not too concerned. Heliod's not a creature when it enters the battlefield, so does not trigger the Veteran at least. Okay. Heliod is indestructible. Could still be convinced to play the Enduring Innocence first. So next turn if I play Loran, I get to draw a card as well. And they're probably not going to draw a ton of cards yet. Seems reasonable to me. May as well hit if we're not blocking. It's going to be a Cleric class, another enchantment. So they're 1 devotion away from attacking with Heliod. And yeah, this can now also protect creatures and enchantments alike. So it's going to make our Loran less effective. The Veteran may not want to trade for the Innocence. They do. Yeah, that's a trade I'm willing to make. Even though it would not let me gain life next turn. Opponent had the swords anyway. So I guess I saved myself 2 damage. But yeah, swords is the cleanest possible answer to the Innocence. Now Ancient Tomb can maybe open up some more possibilities. Should maybe use Loran while the coast is clear and they can't protect with Alseid. Yeah, I guess we just go Loran and that's it. Yeah, could use more life gain effects. Cleric class gives them more counters. This draws cards. This seems scarier. Fountain, gain 2, get a counter. And Basri can make tokens. Also 2 devotion. Yeah, we're under some pressure here. Our draw's not really developed.
Fight together and seize victory.
Opponent gets to keep those tokens. I'll take it. So next turn, if I play Haliya, I can channel Agancho for just 1 mana. It could be useful. Soulmender as their last card. And a Get Lost. Get Lost could be useful. So I can play Haliya, Get Lost, and still channel Aganjo. So, can go for an attack, both at Basri. We'll see how they block, and then I probably channel. If I get lost to Alseid now, they just let Basri go. Still facing Heliod next turn. Yeah, I think this is reasonable. Also happy if they lose a Soulmender here. And then Basri can only plus. Could also destroy the Planeswalker now. Although the Veteran might actually be the bigger threat. Although currently if I take out Basri, they do lose the Devotion, so then Heliod's no longer a creature. Although Veteran is actually enough. So I'll try this. If they get this back out of the graveyard, does it contribute towards their Devotion is a good question. I don't think it does. We're about to find out. Yeah, it does not. It does have mana value 1. Same as the front side, I believe. But no Devotion. So that kind of worked out. I am tempted to draw with Loran end of turn, just to give us some more oomph going into our next turn. We know our opponent's drawing Oketra. So that's pretty good, although they don't have land 5 yet. Could respond by drawing with Loran. I think I'm fine with them keeping Oketra on top and making it a 3-3. As opposed to maybe drawing a land. A Mother of Runes and a land. So if I equip Excalibur, gives +2/+2 at the moment, although it could be 3 once we play Mother of Runes. So that's reasonable. Put it on Loran. Attack Basri. And then I may need to look into Castle Ardenvale as another option. But yeah, it feels like I need to take care of Basri. So let's play Mother. Equip. They're probably going to let Basri go, as opposed to trading or chumping. I'm fine if they trade for Haliya. And then I could draw with Loran. Or I could wait, in case they didn't draw a 5th land yet. Although I could draw something I can cast right now. Although keeping this as a blocker is also, I guess, worth noting. So I think we pass for now. Opponent's pretty far ahead on life. And once they play Oketra, They're also ahead on board. But at least they wouldn't be gaining any life right now. So Loran will draw. Because we need answers. And Johnny's not bad, and a Daxos. That's more like it. So, do I need to name Demigod? I guess I don't have to. Can still go for a human. Play Daxos. Play a Johnny, make a token. Loran's getting bigger. Haliya will draw. I will lose a Johnny to the flyer, but that's okay. And this can attack. And this can attack. Opponent takes it. Find a Giver of Runes. Now the tokens are black, so that does matter with our protection here. Heliod's active. They can still level up the Cleric class. Heliod can also give stuff lifelink. Although we have decent blocks outside of the flyer. This is where hopefully Haliya drawing extra cards can help us take over. So we're leveling up Cleric class. And Johnny down. I think I'm still okay drawing with Loran just because I want more creatures to get more triggers. It's another land. Not ideal. Can still activate Castle Ardenvale. Now they do have an indestructible blocker. So it's not going to be easy to keep getting in. So we might have a bit of a board stall. So yeah, I guess I just main phase activate Castle. Could still be worth it to attack with both Priest and Loran, so at least one of them gets to connect. Don't think it's worth it to attack with anyone else. So they're jumping, not putting Heliod in harm's way. Works for me. I guess they maybe want the extra Phantom triggers. So they get more counters, grow the flyer. They can start giving that lifelink, so it's going to be tricky to outrace. But it just takes a removal spell here. And draw another land. Cleric class can also get something back out of the graveyard. Yeah, if they get back Alseid, give Oketra protection from white, I think we're just dead on board. Because they can attack with a flyer and an unblockable creature. So if our opponent sees the line, we're dead. I guess I could still draw with Loran in the hopes of finding instant speed removal. Opponent just activates Castle Ardenvale instead. That's fine. For Mikhaeus, X equals 1, make another token. Also acceptable. So I could potentially make a play next turn where I give pro-black and pro-white to sneak a creature past any blockers. And then use Excalibur. Archangel's not bad. Alright, so currently have 10 counters on Excalibur. So that's +10, +10. Other opponent's at 22 and not 21. So moving on to the Hallowed Priest still requires me to gain life, but I guess we can do that by just casting Archangel now, or I could activate Castle Ardenvale. And then, yeah, we don't need any additional mana, so I think we have it. First need to go for pro-black and then pro-white, otherwise I can't target the creature if it already has protection from white. So, can move Excalibur. Pro-black. Pro-white. Smash, can block. And that'll do it. So yeah, I wonder last turn if getting back to Alseid would have just done it for them. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, facing Vorinclex, so a green ramp deck. Our hand's reasonable. Just need to make sure we draw third land. For now, a Sanctifier. Hive will ensure that we keep making tokens to gain life. Although I would really like to get my commander down here. Opponent with an Ancient Tomb in the meantime. I'll take one of those myself. Doesn't look like they're going to use the extra mana. Alright, perfect. Play Haliya. We'll have gained 3 life, so we get to draw. Making sure that we keep hitting more line drops. Opponent can already cast Vorinclex, however. Get more forests. And a Shepherd. So this turn, kind of liking a Ajani, make a token, which will get bigger. Could also just gain life with it to increase its loyalty some more. But want to start making some larger threats, I think.
I am a Johnny Goldman. I will be my pride grows strong.
No attacks. Could double block Vorinclex if it attacks. Mythweaver, that one's scary. So now our goal is to maybe... Well, they can give Trample with Heirloom, so that's especially effective with a Mythweaver. But our goal might be to just work up towards Ultimate, so we need, in Brawl, 40 or more life to essentially wipe the opponent's board. And yeah, we're starting to get there. I might be able to get there all the way if we go Cleric class, play Zora, and then can still play the Collector. It's a lot of life gain triggers either way. So we're 35, now play Speaker, gain 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I can wipe. I guess, do I prefer Speaker or Cat Collector? Since we've already gained life, Cat Collector's not as good anymore. And how about a nice 0 ability? And that'll do it. Awesome. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw, facing Grist, black-green insect. So they'll likely present a blocker for Sarah Ascendant before I get a chance to attack and gain life for the Pridemate. That being said, if we find land 3, we can give stuff flying with Steel Seraph. And then we have 2 nice payoffs. Even though Grist can of course remove stuff with a -2. Turn 1 Elves always nice. And a turn 2 Grist. Make an insect, we're not going to want to trade for the Ascendant. And they milled an insect, so they immediately got to make 2 tokens. At least we found a land. And then maybe start with a Channeler, can give it flying next turn if we play the Enchanter untapped. So they could technically ultimate already. And now Head Shredder can ramp them by milling extra lands. Get in for 1. They can also crew the 5/5, at least it doesn't have reach. So this turn, I'm not hating Steel Seraph, although if I play Steel Seraph now we can expect the opponent to remove it with Grist next turn, so I won't be able to give the Ascendant flying consistently. Could just play Loran, destroy the Head Shredder before it does damage, and then next turn play Savior plus Steel Seraph, so I can protect the Seraph to keep it around. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So let's just go Loran here. Another Elf. And Grist. This one can blow up artifacts if it transforms, so it could also answer Steel Seraph. And Haywire Might. This one does not remove artifact creatures, at least. Currently only 1 creature in the graveyard. But insects can get in. Alright, so how do we feel about Savior plus Steel Seraph? Could also wait to give the Channeler flying next turn, and just now give the Ascendant flying so we can gain a life and grow the Channeler to begin with. So Savior plus Seraph. And then next turn I get to double spell Haliya with Pridemate. Although the Pridemate's gonna struggle to get past all these insects. Opponent sacks the other Grist. I shall protect. Can they get it back? At least the Seraph is safe right now. Haywire Mine doesn't work. Alright, so we get to untap, it seems. Don't think we're drawing with Loran. Kinda don't hate the current spot we're in. Archangel would be better if we play our commander first. So let's start there. So Channeler now flies. Could go for lifelink on the Channeler itself, which probably makes more sense than flying the Ascendant. Unless they have removal at instant speed, then it could be okay to give this flying. Gives us an extra life gain trigger, I suppose. Even though gaining more life gets us closer to 30 or more for the Ascendant. But I think number of life gain triggers might still be more relevant here. Also means that if they remove the Channeler, I can still move the counters and finish off Grist. If they remove Steel Seraph now, I guess that's okay. So we'll draw a card end of turn. And then next turn Archangel can grow the team. So yeah, I like that we held on to the Enchanter to fly the Channeler when it was a bit bigger. Grist is back. It's gonna destroy probably the Steel Seraph, yep. Still no real need to activate Loran. Undrop Archangel. And our opponent's gonna scoop it up, fair enough. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, facing Sephiroth, the mono-black sacrifice. Not gonna be an easy matchup, although we do have a decent hand to start out at least. Mother of Rune's gonna require an immediate answer. If they don't, we get to protect Ocelots, which can run away with the game. Alright, perfect. Now they could still have a board wipe that doesn't target to get around the protection. But for now, we have clear skies ahead. And then with the extra 1/1 token from Ocelot, we'll have gain 3 to draw a card end of turn. Next turn we can gain even more life with Faithmender. Feed the Swarm. Means they probably have another removal spell here. But we're gonna make them use it. Orcish Bowmasters does not deal 1 damage in Brawl. So I guess they're digging. Name black, and our opponent scoops it up. Yeah, either our opponent's used to Orcish Bowmasters from Timeless, where it can immediately deal 1 damage, or they just didn't know that Mother of Runes can target itself. But yeah, either way, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw, facing Tifa, so absolutely need to have an answer for their commander, or it's gonna kill us, even if we gain a bunch of life. So this hand doesn't really qualify, despite otherwise being pretty decent. This is better. I have 2 removal spells, in fact. Utopia Sprawl, always a great turn 1 play. Well, I can immediately Swords before they double its power, so they only gain 1 life. Although next turn they can already replay Tifa, so we're not really making a ton of progress. I would still rather keep up Fateful Absence, so then next turn I can maybe play the Monument, as opposed to playing Soul Warden and then having to Absence afterwards. But yeah, opponent just has a enchantment here. So missed out on deploying Soul Warden. Now I think I still like Monument. And then next turn I could both play my Commander and Absence if needed. Or we can get the Exemplar going. Alright, maybe our opponent's being patient on their Commander. And Lotus Cobra, also quite good. Enters with 2 counters thanks to the bioengineered future. And an Aura Sight. So have a few options. I think going Soul Warden into Exemplar applies the most pressure, sets up Nykthos pretty well. Immediately draw a card. And more removals, always welcome. So we can't complain about the amount of removal we've drawn this game. So now we can kind of leverage our life gain synergies while hopefully keeping Tifa at bay. And get to gain more life, draw a card in the opponent's turn. Alright, so ideally I play a sorcery speed removal spell now, so I get to keep up instant speed removal in the event that they have a protection spell. Which pretty much means play Aura Sight and then still have Absence or Get Lost up. If they don't have a way to protect Tifa, then we can run out our Commander. Safekeeping. So maybe Get Lost over Absence, although Get Lost can hit enchantments, could be relevant. Although this way they get to draw a card right away. I'll Get Lost. That works. So no Tifa for the opponents. Get to hit for 5. And then next turn, between my Commander, Savior making more tokens, and growing this, we might be able to set up lethal on the following turn, and then 1 removal spell to deal with Tifa should be enough to get us there. Although now a Cavalier, big enough to get in the way of the Exemplar for a turn. Six mana to replay Tifa. Opponent's gonna shuffle away the Cavalier. Well, they could just be casting something else that's huge. But no, there's Tifa, they just wanted extra counters. That'll grow the Exemplar again. And an Explore. So they're down to 1 card in hand. Nykthos can also net us some extra mana. Can take 5. This name's Human. And then step 1, play my Commander. Although I should be able to keep up Fateful Absence maybe in the opponent's turn. Or I can just main phase everything, probably doesn't matter. Play a 1 mana Pridemate. That one's also going to get huge. And yeah, I guess we still have the Aura Sight as well if we really wanted to. Yeah, I guess I don't really have a reason to make a million mana with Nykthos right now. Could just play 2 more creatures out, keep up Fateful Absence, and that's good enough. So we might also just have enough blockers back where even if they trigger Tifa a few times, we can survive. But I guess we also just have lethal now, 21 power, thanks to the monuments making extra tokens for us too. So yeah, we had most angles covered here. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, facing Goben / Fleem, the Mayhem deck. Got a solid hand. Soul Warden, one of our better 1-drops. Followed by Daxos, followed by Haliya, can immediately draw. And then a Ajani, if we get to 4 mana, can also be quite strong. Opponent's going to be trying to discard cards to get a discount with Mayhem. Alright, still gonna try Haliya. May get countered. Miscalculation, that's an old school one. Back to the command zone. Can still recast it for 5 mana. And an Arcane Signet for ramp. Alright, I'm just gonna slime down a Ajani. Make a Pridemate token. And that's even gonna grow off opposing creatures entering thanks to Soul Warden. Can make another one next turn. And Ajani's also threatening to wipe their board if we get to 40 or more life in Brawl. Alright, sadly they did have a sweeper here, so that's a setback. At least we still control a Planeswalker. And this turn... And what's my plan? Probably want to Signet plus Steel Seraph. And then make another token. The extra mana from Signet will make it easier to deploy the rest of my hands. Maybe a Ranger can get another 1-drop that gains life. And Ajani can gain life with the +1 ability as well. But there's Fleem. And a Chrome Mox. So if I play Ranger, which 1-drops am I getting? Still not quite sure. Could also just play Haliya, and then next turn playing Ranger and a bunch of 1-drops will gain even more life. Probably gonna lose a Ajani here to Fleem. But I don't think I can stop that. So... yeah, what if I Faithmender? A lifelink, I would gain 6, still not enough to set up the ultimate. So let's go with Haliya. And gain life.
We thrive when we support one another.
And give lifelink. And I'm okay offering the trade. Opponent accepts. Alright, that's surprising. And draw a card. So Ajani might be safe. And goodbye, Pridemates. And a Torment for Haliya. Back to the command zone once again. But we still have an active Planeswalker, so can't complain. So this turn I could cash it in for another Pridemate. A Ranger, I think, still gets Mother of Runes. At this point Sentinel's not that impactful anymore. Could go for Ascendant, which already is a 6/6 flying lifelink. Speaker is also quite good, can start making angels. So we've got options. Yeah, maybe I don't need Mother of Runes, I can just get 2 actual win conditions. And maybe to hedge my bets a little bit, I'll keep gaining life here as opposed to making a token, so that if they have another sweeper, we still have a planeswalker, and our opponent sees the Sarascendant and Speaker and scoops it up. I'll take it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, facing off against Yuna, green-white enchantment reanimator. Our hand seems fine. Soul Warden can gain us a lot of life if it doesn't get answered, including when the opponent plays their creatures. Sadly cannot warp Haliya, but now with an Ascendant we don't really care. Get the maximum amount of life gain triggers this way, and next turn the Ascendant could already turn into a 6/6. Although I could get punished by the 3 life from Witch Enchanter. Now I could keep Witch Enchanter to destroy the punishment. I guess eventually we'll get the Ascendant back, but it's going to take a while, and then at that point Yuna probably gets this back. Haliya is also an option, immediately draw a card. That might actually be the best option here. Because my hand's not super exciting, all things considered. We were counting on the Sarascendant. Now Archangel's a bit better. Monument can help reduce its cost. And a Prison Realm can answer something else. Our commander can send that back to the command zone. Adventures In can also trigger stuff. So this turn we're looking at Monument into Conjurer. And then next turn, as soon as I play the Archangel, all these random 1/1s are going to become enormous. And the Ascendant is going to be a 6/6 once we free it. And there we see Yuna. We'll read it when it's relevant. Alright, go Archangel. Sadly the token is on cast, so it doesn't help trigger the Archangel. But still plenty of triggers here. Smash. Opponent says good game, and there we go. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, facing Giada, monowhite angels. So they're gonna be attacking in the air, and yeah, that's a problem since we don't have a ton of flyers necessarily. So we need a particularly explosive draw or just a lot of removal. And this is neither of those. This is better. Start with Leyline. Have a lay down arms to maybe answer Giada. And Guide of Souls also quite scary. Although Sarascendant's a good one. So, still go for Daxos, maybe next turn Channeler plus Sarascendant. I would gain 4 life, so then we're pretty close to having a 6/6. Alright, opponent's got throw and lay down arms. Does gain us 4 life here. So we need from 28, we need to be at 32 or more. So with Adventures In, we're just 1 away. I guess I could play my commander. And then next turn, kind of go off. Had I played Adventures In, I would have drawn a card. But I can save this to get an extra counter on the Channeler. Which seems worth it. Unless we want to cast all 3 spells, then that's not quite gonna pan out. And I guess we would have to deal with Skrelv first anyway. So Channeler Play Ascendant. Have a 8/8 flying lifelink for 1 mana. That's a pretty good deal. I guess I can save Adventures in for next turn after all, just to make sure we can consistently keep enabling Haliya. And then I guess we need to get rid of Skrelv at some point. May as well do it now. In a pinch we can also lay down arms our own stuff to gain 3, but... hit for 5. And find a Steel Seraph, pretty decent. So now our opponent's playing catch-up, but with Giada they can ramp out some big stuff. So still 3 mana for Angel spells, but yeah, opponent has to scoop it up. Sarah Ascendant's just too strong here. Alright, so we get to see this mono-white life-gain deck in action. And yeah, I was definitely quite impressed with Haliya as both a source of life gain and card advantage. Not sure if it's necessarily better than some of the alternatives like Heliod or Ajani, which you can also play as your commander in Brawl, the 4-mana Planeswalker, which are both also quite excellent if you want to build around a life gain deck. But at least you have a bit of variety now with Haliya, giving you a bit more card draw than the other commanders. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.